And I'd just like to take a moment to welcome you all that have joined us for this, like I said, taking your time out of your day to join us for the on-demand training with the Bowling University on-demand program that we've launched back in August here of 2017. So as I said, I'm Kelly Bednar, your Director of Education for the BPAA and Bowling University. But I'm going to turn some of this over to our SME on this to tell you about our program. As I go through the agenda today, we have we're going to talk what is the on-demand training, what is it? We're going to talk about how you get your center registered, basically how you get started, how students get registered, and so they can use it. Then some best practices, because we're finding that that's a huge value to you, and then obviously some resources as we get to the end. And one thing that's not on the agenda, as I think we'll talk about more when we get to the end. So I'm going to turn you over to Gerald Morrow, who's been with us about a year and a half here at the BPAA and a valued asset to helping us put together this on-demand new product. Without him, we probably wouldn't have had the staff to make this happen as quickly as we did. It came up. We've been talking about it for a while. We finally made it happen. So Gerald, make sure we unmute you here. Let you lead us into the program here. Tell us about it.
Thanks, Kelly. Again, thank you guys for taking a few minutes out of your day to join us for this webinar. We're going to try to keep you in and out of here. For those of you that said that you're doing this to get out of 30 minutes of work, we'll try to make sure it's only 29 and a half minutes of work. So we're moving right along. What is on-demand training? It's basically exactly what it says. It's training when you need it for your new hires, frontline staff, and even your established team members. And again, this is going to be used as a baseline standard to begin your training process. And when we launched the program, we started out with some basic courses. We have an Introduction to Service Standards, which is a customer service course. It's focusing on customer service, how to give good customer service and the importance of it. We have Navigating and Reducing Customer Complaints and Introduction to Promoting Sales Inside the Center. All of those three courses are really just trying to get that new person up to speed, ready to start interacting with customers with customer service. We all get complaints, so we've got to teach them how to handle those complaints and give them some skills. A lot of our new hires are brand new to working, and if somebody comes at them, what are they going to do? So we try to give them some basic skills there. And then, of course, you got to sell your product. You got to sell your birthday parties, your group events, your laser tag, your arcades. So we're teaching your staff how to promote those inside the four walls by interacting with their guests. Our first position-specific training course is Food and Beverage Sales and Service. Now, that course is designed for food and beverage. It can be a lane server, it could be your snack bar attendant, it might be somebody that's taking orders and cooking it, somebody in your full service restaurant. It can even be somebody at your front desk, so that way they know what's going on in that side of your facility. Last but not least, and probably the most important course in the program, is Bowling Center Safety Training. We all know nowadays we're in a society where we've got to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's, and now we've got a way of saying, here's our basic safety standard. Now, this safety training course takes you through multiple parts of your center. Best part is once they complete the training, they're going to have a digital record of that training, and that way you have something that you can keep on file in their personnel records. So those are our basic courses, kind of how we're getting started. So I guess the next question is really, how do I start? Well, it's just this easy. Register your center. Again, no need to write these down. This webinar is going to be recorded, but also we're going to walk you through the steps. You can go to bowlinguniversity.net/on-demand. You'll click on the little center registration link. You'll complete a short online form. You'll receive an email with 3 easy steps to get started. So go to Bowling University. If you notice up at the top under online education, there's an on-demand online training there. Click on that, and that'll take you over to, this is kind of the mothership for the on-demand online training program. where you have all your information in one spot. We're talking about center registration. You'll click on that right over there on the right-hand side under the Let's Go heading, and that brings you right on over to this page. This is where all the magic happens. That little form there at the bottom, all we need is your center name. Hey, if you don't know your BPA number, that's fine. We can work around that. We've got that information here. Again, we ask for a state and zip just so that way there's several centers with the same name, your first and last name and email address. Once you complete that, you'll get an automated reminder that says, hey, thanks for completing it. We're going to be with you. We're asking that you give our team here about 48 hours because what we do is we actually build your center in the on-demand platform, add the courses to your course library. We'll send you an email with those 3 steps once we've got your center built. It's pretty easy. You can take those 3 steps in the email we send you. You can send it out to your team. You can print it out, post it near the time clock. You can post it anywhere in your center. As you see over on the right-hand side, and we'll get into this a little later, we've even got a sample letter available for you in our online resources section. That way if you want to use that and send it out, you can, again, print it out and post it. It's just that easy. So those 3 steps, step 1, this is going to be exactly what's in your email. So step 1, they're going to go to the link. So all you'll have to do is send them this link. Again, you'll just share those 3 steps. They'll land on a page that looks like this. It's going to ask them for a few pieces of information, first name, last name, email address. It's going to have them type it a second time just to confirm it. Down at the bottom there, you'll notice in step 2, we've got a code down at the bottom. Now that code is important because that code is specific to your bowling center and gives your employees, you and your team, access to your course library. So what'll happen is each center will be set up in the program. You'll have a course library. Your code will put them in your team and give you that course library.
Gerald, when you say that, does that mean I could customize my my library saying, hey, I don't want my staff to see the food and beverage sales and safety?
Kelly, we can do that.
Wow, that's cool stuff.
We can do that, and don't get too far ahead of us there. But there's a lot of cool things that we'll be able to do. We'll kind of touch on some of that. But for now, we've got some basic courses. We load all those into your course library. And like Kelly said, hey, you know what? I don't want the food and beverage. You let us know that, and we can make sure that one doesn't appear in your library. So that's definitely a cool feature. And then step 3 is just this easy. They go into that course library that we're talking about, like Kelly was mentioning. Those are the courses that are loaded there. And all your team members have to do is they click on a course. As soon as they click on a course and they hit begin, they'll have 2 weeks to complete that course. So they get to start these whenever they like. It's truly that. It is on-demand training. So if you hire somebody today at 3 o'clock and your center's already built, guess what? 3:01, they're sitting down taking bowling center safety training. So let's take a quick look at what it looks like from the student's perspective, or the learner's perspective as it's called. This is the home page that they will land on once they go in there and they complete their profile and generate their own password. We won't generate any passwords. They'll generate their own password. So their username will be their email address. They'll get a little email, they'll click on it, complete their profile, generate their own password, and bam, they're in. It's just that easy. So as you notice, it's got some to-dos, overdos. I've only completed a couple courses. Don't hold that against me. I've only been logged in for 1 week in a row. And on that screen there, if you notice up at the top, there's a section for the course library. Click on that and bam, you're in the course library. You can see all the courses that are available to you, your team. And then as you get into those, let's say we wanted to take navigating and reducing customer complaints. We'd click on that course and there you are. You're in the course ready to go. Actually, I've completed this one and got 100%. So I'm ready to hit the front lines there and deal with some customer complaints and hopefully reduce them. But again, this is, as you can see, I've completed this course. If I hadn't completed this course, you could see exactly where you're left off and pick up there. There's additional resources or references for each of the courses. Those are some downloadable materials that help add to the course. And at different points during the course, there will be sections where they'll receive an email, and those references are automatically emailed to them as well. So that's pretty much how quick and easy it is to get in there and get going. Now, for the student, again, this is the mothership here for the on-demand online training program, that Bowling University /on-demand, and the Let's Go section. So if they get to this web page here, here's where we got to go to get some user guides and some manager's resources. So again, this is going to help you as the manager be able to get some more information about the program. Like I talked about, that sample letter. But first, we have a user guide. We've got a 14-page guide with pictures, images, all kinds of stuff explaining you step by step where things are, how to get into it, giving you that information so that way you can see what you're looking at before you're even in there looking at it. And then, like we talked about earlier, in that manager's resource link, you can download a Word document so you can customize it. And as you see, it's ready to go. You can make the changes. You can insert your member number and your code. You can tell them what courses you want them to take, which ones you don't want them to take. Again, this is just a little resource there for you. You guys can probably come up with something a lot better, maybe something shorter, sweeter. You know your team. You know how to get the information out to them. Hey, if you have a closed Facebook group for your employees, or you have some way of pushing this through your scheduling software, again, the key is pushing out those 3 easy steps with the link, their center code, and then what classes you want them to take. So that's really just in a nutshell kind of what we've got there as far as the on-demand online training program. I know we kind of moved pretty quick, but we're trying to get through this and give you something it's just that easy. One of the big things is we hire people all the time, day, night, weekends, doesn't matter when we hire them. So we want to be able to get in there and get them started and get them training right away. So with that being said, we've got some suggested best practices to kind of get that mind thinking. So we're looking at, with our new hires, we want to get them to complete these courses during maybe the first 2 weeks. Maybe it's the first 30 days or whatever your probationary period is. Maybe you say, hey, you know what, they've got to get through all 5 in the first week. It's up to you. It's your program. You tell your employees and your team members how you want to do it. One thing that always works is kind of to give them some incentives, maybe incentivize some of the team members to complete the courses within a time frame. Again, this might help out more so with your established staff, your current team members, because again, trying to work backwards and implement something like this so that way everybody has that level playing field as far as the training. Again, this is going to be the baseline training, and then you're going to come in and layer your training for your specific center on top of it, and then your position specific training on top of that. One other suggested idea is to add the on-demand online training to your employee handbook as a standard. It's part of your new onboarding and training process. That helps you with existing employees, it helps you with new hires. You add that to the handbook, and then it becomes something that, hey, this is our standard operating, this is what we do. They've got to get through courses X, Y, and Z in this time frame and go from there. Maybe you hire people and you get them in there and that you get them started in the safety training. So here's an idea as far as day 1 of training. We all know we have to do it. We all don't like doing it, but we all have to complete paperwork. I mean, we've got the I-9s, the W-4s, I'm not a tax paperwork guy. I'm not HR, so but I know that you end up filling out a stack of paperwork. So they come in, they bring in that paperwork folder that you sent them home with after you offered them the job and hired them. They bring that in, you sit down, go through that, make sure it's ready to go. And then right away, you get them to sign in and go into bowling center safety training. Once they complete that course, in these on-demand courses, they're designed to take about an hour. Now, if they have some troubles in a course and they don't get through a quiz, they can't advance in the course until they pass that quiz. It'll force them to keep retaking it until they pass it. So it could take them a little longer. But once they completed their safety training, then, hey, walk them around the center, introduce them to the team members, and then you can also speak to some of the stuff in the safety training program when you walk around and you walk behind the machines, or you walk down there and you're talking about the ball returns or guards, making sure that you don't stick your hands where you're not supposed to, or if you go behind the snack bar, the restaurant area, and look at the fryers and things like that. Again, all of this is touched on in the safety program. So as you walk them around the center, now you're reinforcing what they just sat down and went through online. Because we all know that people have to hear things multiple times before they actually remember them. So that's day one of safety. Maybe it's a couple hours and you send them home for day one. Day two, hey, begin the shift, come in, go ahead and have them take service standards and maybe one of the other courses. Maybe it's the navigating and reducing customer complaints. So you've got 2 hours of day two of training ready to go right there. Then after that, then they can come out after those two courses and shadow a team member. Again, we're not just hiring them and dumping them out into the front lines to deal with our customers, because again, we don't want our customers and our guests to have a subpar experience, because you never know if that's the first time that person has walked into your facility. We're trying to give them some basic skills. Day three may be another class. Maybe you say, hey, day three, we're going to do more position-specific training here at our facility. Great. These are just some suggested best practices or ideas to kind of start that training mentality and put some structure in place, so that way all of your new hires kind of go through that. And then, like I said, all of your existing employees, you can kind of incentivize them to go back and complete the classes within a certain time frame.
Gerald, I just want to add a couple things. The questions flying at me has probably been more so than I've ever had in a webinar. This is fabulous. Gerald's probably watching me jump back and forth and writing things down and typing responses to you guys. So I think I want to respond to a couple of these in the webinar, so we can have a recording of it so people can see it in the back. So a couple of things that were asked. One, Gerald already answered as it's come through, is how long does each course take, and is each course said how long it does take? And yes, each course lists how long it should take in each course. The 5 that you see there are pretty much designed to take you between an hour and 15 minutes, depending on how well you do on the questions that are posed there. So we've structured them to be about an hour. The thing is, we've got, when other things come in as we build them all, we're going to be looking at shorter, quick hit things that may be as little as 5 minutes or as 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And that's some of the stuff that as the committee sees the feedback for all these courses, we're looking at building these to be as user-friendly for you, the center, as possible. Which brings me to the next question that came up flying at me was, so I can download this. Question was actually, can I put this on a computer at work and have a few employees taking the course together? You certainly can have them taking it together, but however, you would want them to actually take them individually, because each individual question that they respond to is tracked to them individually, so that you have, especially for the compliance courses, you can track and have it in record that they're forever, that they took that compliance course that said to not stand on a chair to change a light bulb. So when they stand on the chair to change a light bulb and they fall off that chair, they were told not to do that. And you have that in record as them themselves taking that course. So we strongly encourage you to do it individually rather than doing it as a group.
Now, also at that, even if you had two employees sitting side by side taking the course, the questions Kelly sees and the questions I see may be different, and our answers may not be in the same order. The system is extremely intuitive and allows us to have a question bank. So if somebody misses a couple questions and they have to retake the test, they may not see all of the same questions. Also, their answers are not going to be in the same order. So it may be true, false question, and true's on top the first time and false is on the bottom. Next time it may be a true, false question. It may be the same question and false is on top. And trust me, as I was building this and going through the courses, it got me several times. But like Kelly was talking about, you want each employee to have their own individual record, just like each employee has their own individual personnel file, because that's what this is. It's a digital personnel file for the compliance courses, that safety course, for them to go in there and go through. It's got some cool features, and as a team leader, and that's not something we're going to jump into today, but once you get in there and you go through the system, we can make some adjustments to the system once you're familiar with it to allow you to be a team leader, which gives you access to look at your team members and see what they've done and what they've went through. Also, some of the reporting features on that end, which allows you to go in there and see how long they took on each quiz, how long they took on each section, how many attempts they took on a specific assessment module. So if for some reason you go through there and they passed it and you see that they've taken that one assessment module 6 times, hey, that's a good opportunity for another learning moment to sit down and go over that information with them to make sure they really have that.
Another thing I'd like to add, it kind of goes along with my response that I sent to Anne Marie when she asked the question, was that you can take this on the computer at your front counter, on any tablet, any laptop, or even your phone. In fact, an amazing stat that we've seen since we launched this in August, we've seen over 60% of all courses being taken to this point being taken on their phone. So your staff, these young millennials and these globals that are coming into staff, they're used to doing everything on their phones. They do their homework on their phones. They can take these courses on their phone. So Gerald and I can be sitting right next to each other taking the course. Hey, they're taking it. They're having conversation about it. They're getting the knowledge gain. That's a win. And then you have an individual tracking of who took what. So the next question is, how do we pay for this? So without further ado,
again, this is a program that's being brought to you by the BPAA, and several of you on the webinar today are in some of these states. These states have already purchased a subscription service to the online education and training program, and within that, this is a value add to that program. The on-demand program is included with that state subscription service that's being purchased to you as a state member benefit for the states that you see on the screen. So if you're one of those states, you're already there. You can get this and start using it at no additional cost to you. Again, you're just going to have to go in there, make sure you register your center if you haven't done so already. If you don't know if you've done so, if you register and we've already got your center up and running, we'll send you the email again with the information so that way you can start pushing that out to your team. But what if you didn't see your state on that list? Don't worry, there are subscriptions available. For only $99 a month, you can have the on-demand online training program plus the online education and management certification program. Again, right there, $99 a month. There's your training solution. So if you're in a state that you didn't see on the screen, if you're in a state that you're not sure if you guys are coming on the subscription service or if your state's going to continue the subscription service, you don't have to worry. $99 a month, again, gets you both of those programs. And this pricing is for member centers. This is a program that you've got to be a BPA member center. I know we have a couple on the call that are not member centers. Again, this is a value to those member centers out there. And again, for $99 a month, I mean, you can sit there and get your employees some basic training, and we've got more courses that we're going to add to come in the future.
All right, I'm going to take back over here. And again, I'm a polls guy, so we're going to throw out another poll here. And of course, if you have any more questions, I've made a list of some things we've already had. Fire those questions away at us. And if there's some really good ones there, maybe even open up your mic and let you to ask those as a group to the whole group yourself. But the next steps, what are the next steps for this? I mean, I think Gerald did a great job. First questions that I had here, I think he's covered devices. How long does it take? We got that. Will there be other compliance courses? Yes, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Then we have wanting to know about, can we have new people who've never been in the bowling center before? I'm actually going to cover that in just a minute. Then FEC specific or center specific courses. Well, you guys are 301 level questions here. Pretty good stuff. Okay, let me just start with center level FEC specific because that kind of goes together. We are in discussion with the committee to have things that would be specific to the attractions, whether it be laser tag. And then back to that thing Gerald mentioned earlier about making it which courses would show up in your library. If you are an FEC, things that you would have in your facility, whether you had arcade, and laser tag and things of that nature would show up in your library, but they wouldn't show up in a traditional center's library. A traditional center may want more compliance, less compliance, whatever. We can build that. That's why we have to register the center, so we can turn on which courses specifically for your centers. Got some really cool stuff that we're looking at doing to make things more specific to centers, but that's down the road. But that said, I'd like to hear from you. What would be your ideal courses next? So which course would you most like to see added to the curriculum that you saw, those 5 courses? Since you asked about the history of bowling, yes, we already had that coming. The attraction attendant, laser tag, arcade, redemption, things of that nature. Would love to hear what you guys are looking for there. And I did set this up intentionally as you have to pick the one that most matters to you.
You can only pick one.
Only pick one. I struggled with this when building this question is, hey, Gerald, should I let them pick more than one? No, they'll just all pick all 5. I really want to know where I need to put my emphasis and energy over the next few months, because it would be my goal to have for you by Summit to have at least 1, if not 2 of these courses by Summit, and at least 2 to 3 before Bowl Expo of next year. These things don't get made overnight, but we do like to hear your feedback from you. Wow, got 75% have voted, and
hey, we're keeping them an extra 3 minutes over, so they're not having to work. So they're going to stick around. If
you guys want to leave, you can leave. Understood. I got a whole bevy of new questions in here, so I want to make sure I get these covered here too while those are still voting. I got a couple more there. Let's see here.
Toss out some of those questions while we're waiting. Again, like Kelly said, we're seeing a lot of. Again, this is kind of a almost a millennial training solution with so many of your younger frontline staff so used to taking everything on their phone. For a lot of us, older crowd, myself included, it would take me a little bit to really sit there and try to do a course on my phone, even though I have one of those as they call them, phablets. It's still not a big enough screen for me, but those younger team members, they're used to it. That's what they do in school, and so they're ready to rock and roll. And the whole platform is mobile responsive. So get yourself one of those inexpensive tablets, keep it there at the center. You got a new hire, get his paperwork and hand him the tablet and tell him to go do safety.
You can get a what's those Amazon Fires for like $49. But the next question was and a great question that was, can you get in and out of the course and does it save your progress?
Yes,
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 absolutely, and
yes.
I mean, it is right there, and you can actually see check, 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 next module, next module. In fact, if you don't watch the entire video, you can't take the quiz. You must watch the entire video. You can't just jump through and just go straight to the quizzes. You actually have to watch the entire video, then answer the quizzes. That's why we almost assuredly take the exact same amount of time for everybody, unless, of course, it takes you 20 times to answer the questions that are given there to it. So great question, because yes, you can do just that. If you have any other courses suggestion, we were just thinking of 5 off the top of our head that the committee has tossed around a little bit, and so we thought we'd throw those up and kind of get a feedback from actual people, especially when we have this large number of people that are on the call. If you have any others, please either submit them here in the questions or the chat section, so we have a record of them, because the whole system downloads all of that. Fire an email away to Gerald or myself, Gerald@bpa.com or Kelly@bpa.com, and we will gladly take a look at that and probably get on the phone with you and have some conversation to that. That we would love to have with you to do just this.
So what was our winner, Kelly?
What was that?
Which
Oh, they're on the screen, are they not? Yeah, the front line, well, it's a tie, 3-way tie for attractions, telephone sales and etiquette, and frontline staff incident handling with the harassment, whether it's sexual bullying. Each of those could be individual courses: sexual harassment, bullying, retaliation. Each of those would be individual courses, as would laser tag attractions, arcades, and redemptions. And then the frontline incident handling is actually the one that came up in the last committee meeting. So that's one we're already working towards on the thing. Oh, another great question. Another great question. Do you still mail out certificates for the education, the online education and manager certification program? Absolutely, because there's the only way you can get a certificate is through us mailing it to you to hand those out, because you now have 2 programs here. We have a training program and we have an education program, one for your frontline staff. All of that frontline staff that were going through the education, all of those courses, as you saw, are now pulled out and put into here. So you don't have to wait or register for those courses. The education courses still have certificates mailed out. This program, however, you just click a button and download them yourselves at the end of the program. It'll have a little button that you click that you've completed it, download certificate. They can print it out and have it for themselves, or you can get in as their lead to handle that. One final question that came up, and it's a very huge question, and I promised him I'd get back to it as a group. The question was, he oversees more than one center. He says, can I log in as my center, or can I log each center individually, or can I log in as a group of my centers? And the answer is yes to both. You can log in and see things individually, or you can even log, if you're a large program where you have, let's say you had 20 centers, and you have regions. You have North region, South region, West region, East region. You can have those broken down into regions also. So you can break that down however you want to break it down. If you're a multi-site facility, you can have any combination of your centers, and you can have a general or a regional manager who can only see his 4 or her 4 or 5 centers below her, and then a general manager over operations manager over all the centers can see all the centers progress throughout the program. And then at whatever level, you can have a center level manager can only see that, and then work your way all the way up to the owner of the company who can see everything that everybody's done within the organization. So one of the reasons we picked this program was because it was there to figure that out. And
Real quickly, Kelly, not to interrupt, but going back to the certificates, like you see up on your screen, I don't know if you can see it right now, the achievements page.
oh, let me close this here. Let me do that for
Oh,
you. Hang on.
hold on.
And there you go.
There we go. We dumped out of the PowerPoint, so now we're actually online live. As you'll see, I'm on as a student. This is my achievements page, and there's a little spot there. It says download certificate. All they need to do is click on that, and boom, there's your certificate. Get some nice paper at Office Depot and print it out at the center, put it in a little frame. Now they can get a copy to take home. You can hang one there in the center. As you might see on this page as well, there's a thing called the leaderboard. This platform has gamification built in. And for us that may not completely understand that, how many of you have spent time on Facebook or maybe somewhere else because you're playing a game because your buddy has a higher score than you do? Same concept here. Every course they complete, they'll receive a badge and they'll get a specific number of points, which will put them in the overall leaderboard, which is all the leaders for all of BPAA. Then as your center, you'll have a center specific leaderboard. So like if we go to the education committee, we can see the leaderboard there. So again, you can use this to kind of incentivize. Right now we've got a maximum number of 3150. So maybe you tell your people, hey, tell you what, if you get more than 2,900 points, then you'll be entered into a drawing for a iTunes gift card, and you've got to get above 2,900 points in the next 7 days. So this gives you a little bit of an incentive there as well. I know we went a little long, so I'll toss it back to Kelly. I think we got another question.
Yeah, well, actually, I got a little better than a question. Again, we have gone long. We are just kind of going a little 301 level here. Anybody that needs to go, please just go ahead and go. But I have here one of our early adopters and one of our committee members who's actually been using the program a little longer than most. Craig Buster has joined us on the in the webinar as someone who can kind of give us a little bit of a feedback from an actual center out there using it. Craig, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Ah,
Hey,
fabulous.
Craig.
Hello.
We appreciate you taking a couple minutes and offering to give us a little feedback from how it's working for you and your center.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate the offer to speak to it. It's something I'm very passionate about, as I think you guys know, as I'm on the National Education Committee, and I'm also the chairperson for the Northern California BPAA. So quick little history about me here. So I've been in the business for 25 years. I run a family entertainment center that's expanding to 125,000 square feet. We also run a 24-lane bowling center that's just strictly bowling, a cafe and a bar. So we kind of have a pretty well-rounded. I truly believe that the majority of our staff, of course, is hired at the family entertainment center, but I truly believe that a lot of these programs are very helpful, from an 8-lane center all the way to a 80-lane FEC style center, or anything in between. It's like anything else. If you get one takeaway from it, then it was definitely a benefit. Some of the benefits we have seen, it's been a good morale booster. It kind of makes people that work for you feel like they're part of something bigger. There's also some friendly competition or gamification, as Gerald said. And we've had some people, compete with each other and say, oh, I finished it in this amount of time, or I got a better score than you. When I introduced it to our management and our supervisors and our staff, we kind of put a broad brush across it and let people do it if they liked. And I did it, and a couple days later, I came into one of the offices, and they all had their certificates printed out, and they were posted up on the wall. And they're like, "Hey, did you see that, Craig? I did." They were really proud of themselves. So, it's like anything else. You get what you put into it. I know a lot of people can't leave their center, to go to Bull Expo or the Summit or IAPA or any of the other even local trade shows. But this is a great avenue for you, and I think it's extremely reasonably priced to teach your staff, and for entry level, meaning they're just new, first job ever, or the more experienced staff, we've had a little bit of both, and I think it was really beneficial. We even had some staff take it that had language barrier issues, and it worked just fine. They made it work, and they gained quite a bit from it. So yeah, I love it. You know, it kind of pushes our 3 core values, which is customer service, cleanliness, and safety. And that's what we live and die by in our business, and I'm sure most of you do as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the feedback. Because we always say, and for me, I'm 10 years removed now from being out in the centers, and Gerald's now a year and a half from being out in the centers, and we need that feedback from you on the National Education Committee of actually using the program and giving us just like that feedback that allows us to make the program something that didn't get developed in a vacuum, as I said earlier. So. Another question that just came in. I have to admit, this is the longest I've probably ever gone on a webinar. I like to keep them short and sweet. But another question was, we said Gerald had mentioned that it's a 2-week time period that they give to take the course. It doesn't just go away at 2 weeks. They get a pester email saying, "Hey, it's about your 2 weeks are up. Your 2 weeks are up." And then after they don't hit that, then they get another one that says, "Hey, your course is about to expire." And that expire means that we have to reactivate it. But all progress that they've had up to that point is saved. Even through the expiration, as long as if we turn it back on, and now I'd encourage them to take it if you're going 6-8 weeks and you've only gone, you got to go back and do that stuff there. We can reset that on our end, saying, hey, if you want them to take it all over, we can. But yes, that 2 weeks is really just a matter of sense of urgency to try to create that person's, I have to get this done. And you saw in Gerald's best practices that the more urgent you make it, the more important it becomes to your new hires. What we're seeing from centers so far is those who are hiring new hires, this is what you do. Okay. It's a little more difficult getting the current staff to jump in. It's like, well, what are we doing this for? We didn't do this before. So you got to get them on board and get them to kind of motivated to do it, as you heard Craig mention. The good steps would be to do just that. Get them motivated, put them on the wall, and do that. So there. Next question. Geez, I'm trying to hurry through these things. Next question. Do you envision video being incorporated in this training? Craig, you tell me. Is this video based or what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually like that portion of it too, because I tried to cheat it myself. I'll be honest. And you cannot. Well, because I wanted to see what our staff would do, and you can't fast forward the videos, which is really nice. And I think that was a great benefit. And I even had some of my staff come up that I knew they were just the resident cheaters, so to speak. So they came up and said, "You can't fast forward the video, you know." And I said, "I know, that's good." So yes, they're awesome. I'm a huge fan, and I can't wait to see the library grow.
Great, thank you so much. So again, anybody on this call, obviously you're interested in the programming. Anybody who can give us some feedback, as Craig is on that committee, we will gladly take any input, and I've had several here submitted already to get them there. And I certainly hope you guys will take the time to register your center. You can go right to that link that Gerald showed you to do that right there. You can go to bpa.com. Go to bpa.com and click on the Bowling University logo and then do online. So you can get there however short you want to type, and then do a bunch of clicks. You can get there and then just type your center name in there. Yeah, we do know we have a way of looking up your center number, but if you're we've got like 50 different bowling centers around the country named Spare Time with combinations of 2 words, 1 word, and whatever else. So if your centers, if you put your center and your city and your state, we'll be able to find you. But if you know your member number and type it in there, it's just one less step for us. So we appreciate you adding it in there to help that out. So with that, one of the longest webinars I've ever given.
I did not go long. I was Friday. I was at 11:29.
It will forever go on that put Gerald on a webinar and we went long. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you everyone for joining us, or as long as you have, and if you have any questions, please follow up with us. We just really appreciate all your time and effort, and a little longer than we said we were going to. So again, this concludes our webinar, and thank you for joining us.